What's happening, man? All right, so doing another documentation video. I'm going to be doing a read through of notes I took on peer-reviewed studies having to do with HBC, human body communication. Um, I've talked about this kind of before, but these are going to be different peer-reviewed studies than the ones that I touched on before. I want to give credit to Look Out for Charlie because I was unaware of this terminology that's being used. You have to be careful with like looking into some of this shit because they use semantics. They use highly advanced or propagated jargon. So like a lot of the wording that's used, it applies, but it's purposefully worded in such a way that if you're not adept within these fields, then you may not even know to look for these things, let alone understand what you're reading or hearing when you come across it. Um, some of the things that this has to do with are electroquasiatic human body communication, interbody coupling, covert body area networks, wearable and implantable nanotech for remote monitoring and manipulation. These things use frequency. They also use the existing electrons within the Earth from grounding, from electrical grounding. So this is using the already existing network for our electrical grid. It's piggybacking off of already existing technology, shit that's been there for years. So potentially, you know how I feel about disclosure. This doesn't mean that this shit is new, and the years that are on these that are documented for publishing on these studies, they don't have to be accurate. Thinking that the years that are published within these studies are accurate, that would suggest that the beings that are doing these studies and creating these technologies or utilizing these technologies, rather, that would suggest that they have integrity. It would suggest that these companies are, you know, are straightforward, and they're not. So these I don't believe that these are new technologies. I think that this stuff has potentially been used for a fairly significant amount of time. Um, and this is going to help to explain the title of the video. It references that you're already in augmented reality. And I think I've already successfully demonstrated why we are in an augmented reality. But this will show why many beings feel like they're being monitored or they're being watched or they're a targeted individual or, they're being gang stalked. These feelings, they're natural responses to the things that are being done. It's just that it's not being done in the ways that are being conceived by those beings who are feeling it more, that are more sensitive to it. Essentially, their bodies are reacting to stimuli and to things that are kind of setting off their intuition, their spidey senses are tingling. They just don't really understand what the fuck is going on, which is understandable. So again, I want to give credit to Look Out for Charlie because with this stuff specifically, not all of it. I've found the anthrobotic stuff and all that stuff, smart dust and all those things kind of myself. But he's definitely helped to advance and further my research and what I look into. Anyway, so first peer-reviewed study on the safety of human body communication, HBC. Human body communication utilizes the electrical conductivity properties of the human body to communicate between devices in and around the body. So this essentially means, wearables, and it doesn't have to be something that you can see or notice, just, stuff around or implanted in the body. The increased energy efficiency and security provided by HBC compared to traditional radio wave-based communication makes it a promising alternative to communicate between energy-constrained wearable and implantable devices around the body. So essentially, they're saying there used to be another form of this technology that utilized radio waves that had considerable drawbacks as far as they're concerned. Um, the results of testing in 2020 show the currents and fields in capacitive HBC are orders of magnitude, magnitude smaller than the specified limits. That means the limitations of where you start to see issues. Um, However, certain excitation modalities in galvanic HBC can result in current densities and fields exceeding the safety limits around the excitation point on the body near the electrode. Once again, you don't have to be able to notice these electrodes or these implants or wearables. They're generally nano-sized. Smart dust. This includes heart rate, mean arterial pressure, so your arteries, respiration rate, so breathing, peripheral capillary oxygen saturation. So when you go to the doctor or the hospital and they put that thing on that sensor on your finger, that is essentially it's a new way of doing that remotely without your knowledge. So being able to use a biosensor to measure the amount of oxygenation in your blood, the oxygen saturation in your blood, and temperature also, that one, but I like to look at these things from different standpoints than just what they're saying. All of those things, that means that they can measure those things, but as you'll see as I keep going, it also means that they can manipulate these things. It means that they can fuck with these things remotely. Next peer-reviewed study, biophysical modeling, characterization, and optimization of electroquasiatic human body communication. I know these are wordy, but I try to provide context. You can again take these titles and go look at the peer-reviewed studies yourselves. I'm not at all an adept in any of this, or I didn't start off that way. I would say I'm a little more advanced than when I started, but that's from reading these things and then going and looking up the things I wasn't familiar with. And so with this one, human body communication has emerged as an alternative to radio wave communication for connecting low power, miniaturized, wearable, and implantable devices in, on, and around the human body. So it doesn't have to be on or in you. It can just be around you, say like a smart meter or any smart device within your home. So Wi-Fi could be outfitted with this. Televisions could be outfitted with this. Use your imagination with that. Especially considering that, like it said, miniaturized. HBC uses the human body as the communication channel between on-body devices. So it can use any of these outside of the body devices to communicate with things on or inside the body. This paper specifically characterizes the human body channel up to 1 megahertz frequency to evaluate it as a medium for broadband communication. The communication occurs primarily in the electroquasiatic, or EQS, regime at the frequencies through the subcutaneous tissues. So subcutaneous is like the top few layers of your skin. This functions down to 13 kilohertz, establishing the human body as a broadband communication channel. So broadband, think internet. Investigate the next peer-reviewed study. Investigation and modeling of capacitive human body communication. The measurement of HBC channels is performed using a novel battery-powered system to eliminate the effects of balloons, BALUNS, so not not balloons, but balloons, and they're used to balance antenna systems. So unbalanced to balanced. So balloons, cables, and instruments to verify the measured results. A numerical model incorporating the entire HBC system is established. So let me say that again because I broke it up a bit. The measurement of HBC channels is performed using a novel battery-powered system to eliminate the effects of balloons, cables, and instruments. To verify the measured results, a numerical model incorporating the entire HBC system is established. It is demonstrated that both the impedance and path gain bandwidths of HBC channels is affected by the electrode configuration. Based on the analysis of the simulated electric field distribution, an equivalent circuit model is proposed and the circuit parameters are extracted using the finite element method, FEM. FEM is a computational technique used for approximate solutions for boundary value problems in physics, engineering, and other science-based shit. Really quick, let me do this real quick before I get further into it. If you want to donate to the channel, if you want to contribute to the research that I'm doing into all of this stuff pertains to my larger kind of research, which is trying to figure out what the fuck, why we feel weird about where we are and what has us feeling differently than we used to feel. Why so many people feel, monitored or like their lives have changed significantly in ways that can't be explained. Many people feel as though we're in a simulation, including myself. Trying to get answers to these things and build a model that makes sense and can explain what we're dealing with. The PayPal is in the description of the video. It's also in the description of the channel. Donations really help. I put a lot into this and I'm trying to do my best to build a company up. If you have any contributions or questions or concerns, or you want to correct something that you think that I've found an error or anything at all, the email is gammaauobsidian, gammaauobsidian @gmail.com. Same thing for the Instagram. Anyway, next peer-reviewed study, enabling covert body area network using electroquasiatic human body communication. In other words, inter-body coupling. So keep in mind, it says covert body area network. That's fairly, overt in the way that they said it. That's not covert, that's overt the way that they said it. Radiative communication using electromagnetic, EM, fields amongst the wearable and implantable devices act as a backbone for information exchange around the human body, thereby enabling prime applications in the fields of healthcare. So you say healthcare, but that also means you can do adverse things. You can do nefarious and malevolent things. Electroceuticals, and I put that in parentheses because I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? So electroceuticals is essentially what it sounds like, pharmaceuticals that are induced within the body using electrical frequency and electricity. So making drugs in your body using frequency and electricity. And this is all, people talk about this all the time. In fact, Emily Moyer talked about how she experimented with finding specific frequencies that give you the effects of certain drugs. And I don't remember if she found it herself or if someone told her about it, or she heard it somewhere or read it somewhere, but she was able to recreate the effects of a specific molecule, a specific drug, using frequency. And she said it felt the same. She said it felt the same. And I don't doubt that at all. In fact, I think that I have experienced something like that, but not of my own volition. Like I didn't do that myself. In fact, I think it's happened multiple times. Most of the time when I notice it, I just feel like a little stoned, which, not necessarily nefarious by itself, but when you take into account that you're not the one inducing that, that is fucked up, you know, and the implications of that are fucked up. You can not only induce something laid back like a feeling of cannabis, but you can induce things like amphetamines, LSD, DMT, all of the, if you, all you need is the key, and the key is the frequency of that biochemical reaction in the brain. So that's very disturbing. Electroceuticals, look that up. Electroceuticals. And in parentheses, I put electricity and frequency manipulation. So I had to get that off. Let me start back so we don't lose ourselves. Radiative communication using electromagnetic magnetic fields amongst the wearable and implantable devices act as a backbone for information exchange around a human body, thereby enabling prime applications in the fields of healthcare, electroceuticals, neuroscience, so the brain science, augmented and virtual reality. Augmented and virtual reality. That is in the peer-reviewed study. Those are not my words. So they've already made public. I believe this one's from 2018, but the dates don't matter to me, dude. It's just when they published. For all we know, this has been since 1950 or some shit. But you know, augmented and virtual reality, and that's the reason that I titled the video the way that I did, because when you take all of these things into account that I'm talking about in these documentation videos, this is already augmented reality. And I believe that part of the reason why you see them talking about augmented reality and you know, giving people Google Glass and all of these mediums to and calling it augmented reality is almost like a smokescreen. Not saying that's the only reason for those things. I'm sure there's other applications that they're using them for too, probably nefarious also. But this is augmented reality already. You are already in augmented reality on so many levels. And that's a big theme of this channel, is talking about why we feel the way we feel. It's because this is augmented reality at least. To many of us, it feels like simulated reality, and is, you know. This also allows an eavesdropper to intercept the information being wirelessly transmitted using electromagnetic waves. An eavesdropper. Conventional HBC implementations produce significant amounts of radiation. Electroquasiatic human body communication presents a method for localizing signals within the body using low frequency, carrierless broadband transmission. So it's saying the other iterations of this technology allowed the body to be hacked, allowed the information that's being used and done and all that shit to be intercepted and manipulated or hijacked, jacked, whatever you want to call it, by an eavesdropper or hacker. So let's say someone's doing the thing, that means someone else can pick up, piggyback off that signal, the transmission, the communication with your body and the device, and do other stuff. So you can have two entities, two beings, or two groups fucking with your avatar. And what they're saying they have created eliminates that and localizes these signals and transmissions to just your body, which also allows for other things. It means honing in on just you. Just you. Not that that's the only technology that can do that, but they're kind of, you know, accomplishing that in all of these technologies. Looks like that wasn't the end of that sentence. Let me pick that back up. Electroquasiatic human body communication presents a method for localizing signals within the body using low frequency, carrierless transmission, therefore making it difficult for a nearby eavesdropper to intercept the information, thus producing a covert communication channel. They keep using the word covert, and I take that literally. And I put in parentheses, localized to just your body. Other applications allow for snooping within a 5 to 10 meter a 5 to 10 meter radius, allowing interference. So, like I just said, 5 to 10 meters, and that's just what they're claiming. Who knows what technology on the inverse? You know, if you were specifically trying to snoop or hack or intercept, your technology could probably progress that 5 to 10 meters by some amount, I would think. So next, peer-reviewed study. Physically secure wearable and wearable through body interhuman body communication. Using the electrical conductivity of the human body, HBC can be utilized to enable new interaction modalities between computing devices by enhancing the natural interaction of touch. Thought as an alternative or innovation to Bluetooth. So, you know, this is kind of the way that these things are introduced. They give you the positive. I talked about this in the other couple. I think I've done 2 other documentation videos like this one. They introduce things like this. They give you the positive applications of it, like anthrobotics and EEG monitoring and stuff like that. But then if you don't just allow them to tell you what this is for, then you can use your own intelligence and imagination to understand the other applications of this shit. There's so much more that they're not saying that is possible and capable using these technologies. Where was I at? Touch. Thought as a, nope, I did that one too. HBC demonstrations show communication between a wearable or implantable and an earth-ground connected device. Earth-ground connected device. These are buried in ground electrical wiring arrays. So think about the electrical grid. The concept of grounding. People talk about go outside and ground all the time. The earth has its own electrical field, both above and below, obviously, Hermetic principle. But if you think about it, all of your power lines are grounded into the ground, right? And the way that that works is it's dispersing excess electrons into the soil, into the ground, right? And so you can redirect or utilize that for technology like this and other technologies too. It's essentially free energy. There's a video, like a TikTok or some shit. There's a dude who just puts a light bulb into the ground and it lights up. And everyone thought that that was magical or some shit, but that's just science. That's how that can potentially work. It doesn't mean that it'll work everywhere on the ground, but if you're in an area or around grounded wires, then very, very likely you can use those excess electrons to power something. May not be able to power a whole lot, but if you know what you're doing and if you have enough excess electrons, you could power whatever it allows, you know? And so next peer-reviewed study, signal transmission analysis in implantable HBC for abdominal medical devices. Implantable devices such as neurotransmitters need to be wirelessly controlled from outside the body. Many of these devices use high-frequency signals in the range of 400 megahertz, 900 megahertz, and 2.45 gigahertz. 2.45 gigahertz. Bands to communicate with external devices. So again, many of these devices use high frequency signals in 400 megahertz, 900 megahertz, and 2.45 gigahertz bands to communicate with external devices. High frequency bands can suffer from signal attenuation. Attenuation is like lessening or thinning or degradation, drop in potency, whatever you want to look at it as. In biological tissues and from electromagnetic interference with surrounding devices. So again, high frequency bands can suffer from signal attenuation in biological tissues from electromagnetic interference with surrounding devices. So the devices around you can interfere in one direction or another, can heighten or can cause attenuation. Low frequency, between 3 and 30 megahertz, can alleviate this and prevent emissions outside the body during transmission / communication. So they figured out that using low frequency instead of high frequency, America, use a fuckload, use a fuck ton. You know, they probably started off using high frequency thinking that more is better, and then realized, oh, you can use low frequency and it quiets it down. It localizes it. And that's how they have been able to localize it to just one body, to your body, without making a field that leaves the body, that almost kind of like creates an electrical aura. So instead of creating an electrical aura that can be hacked or snooped or intercepted, they use low frequency and it just stays localized to you. Next peer-reviewed study, cooperative Raman. I don't know. I still haven't figured out how to say this one. Cooperative Raman spectroscopy for real-time in vivo nanobiosensing. I talked about Raman spectroscopy in the last one, I think. Or maybe it was in the EEG one. This is imaging. It has to do with imaging. So, X-ray type stuff, MRI type stuff, imaging. Miniature biological sensors can detect and measure different phenomena at the nanoscale. In this paper, the fundamental idea is to replace laser excitation and spectrometer measurement tools with a network of interconnected nano devices that can simultaneously excite and measure nanobiosensing particles. That's real time. So instead of think of when you get an X-ray or an MRI, they do the imaging and then someone has to go and analyze that image or those images, right? This does the imaging and then analyzes those sets of data in real time. And when you take into account artificial intelligence algorithms and stuff like that, not saying AI, not some robot or something like that, it's just algorithms and computational equations and things of that nature. Programming, it can sense something and do something. Essentially, it can see something and do something in real time. So next one, end-to-end noise model for intrabody terahertz nanoscale communication. In vivo wireless nanosensor networks, or IWNSNs, enable applications such as drug delivery, biosensing, and remote monitoring. So again, you can create, they've said that they can do this. They can create drugs in the body without anything other than these nanotechnologies. They don't need chemicals. They don't need, you think of a pharmaceutical and you think of a pill or a liquid or a transdermal or a sublingual or something like that. It doesn't have to be that way anymore. And maybe it has to do with cost effectiveness, the reason why this isn't more large scale. I happen to think it's because of being able, once you let everyone know that you can do this, then they'll at some point, maybe not up front, because they'll all be so excited, oh my gosh, that's so great, I don't have to swallow a pill, or oh my gosh, I don't have to have injections. But give it a little bit of time and they'll all start to realize, wait, if you can make these prescribed medications and chemicals in my body, that means you can make anything else in my body too. And once people realize that, it's going to cause a problem. People call each other NPCs and all this shit all the time. I like to think of it more so as leveled consciousness. People catch up. And when they realize that this is not only theoretical, but realized, actualized, and possible, and very likely already being implemented and used, just like they're talking about, advertising in your dreams while you're sleeping and shit. They tell you about the things they can already do and say that they're going to do it in the future, like using Wi-Fi imaging to see inside your home. They've already been able to do that. They can do that shit with a fucking light bulb. All they need is a light bulb to be able to do shit like that. So the Wi-Fi thing is just probably going to give them a better picture, or maybe faster, more in real time results. I don't know. So yeah, my bad. Anyway, um, in vivo wireless nanosensor networks, or IWNSNs, enable applications such as drug delivery, biosensing, and remote monitoring. Remote monitoring also indicates remote manipulation. With the development of many plasmonic signal sources, antennas, and detectors in wireless communications among intrabody nano devices, they're enabled in terahertz frequency band, so 0.1 to 10 terahertz. The overall noise contributions are composed of three distinctive constituents: Johnson-Nyquist noise, black body noise, and Doppler shift induced noise. So these are the catalysts. These are the things that can cause specific interactions or results within the body. And notice their frequency, their sound based. Doppler, you recognize the name Doppler radar. Not familiar with Johnson-Nyquist or black body, but that Doppler definitely piqued my ears. And so these things are done. This isn't theoretical. These aren't. Listen to how they speak about it. They've already done. This is peer-reviewed studies. This means that the experimentation and fashioning has already been done. And these are old papers. They're probably older than the dates that are on the publishing, right? And so you see a possibility for, or not a possibility, you see the application of remote control of biochemical reactions in the brain and in the body, right? You can make drugs in the body. You can suggest, same thing I said in the suggestibility frequency video. You can promote a certain chemical in the body to make a person feel a specific way, like fear, anger, lust, pain, physical pain, emotional pain. You can monitor the processes within someone's body. This is an augmented reality. It's not to say that every single person is experiencing these things, but judging by the things that people have been increasingly reporting to medical and healthcare professionals, it is being done. They're just being called crazy. Those people are just being called crazy, and then they're being put on more medications, or maybe placebo, because there's some kind of like identifier or marker for someone that's being being affected by these things. I would think it would be a little more organized. So potentially a person goes into their doctor or provider and says, hey, this is what's happening. There's some kind of identifier. It might even be on their fucking name, attached to their name or something. And instead of giving them a medication, maybe they give them a placebo, some kind of psych med placebo, so that they can continue to utilize these technologies. But main point being that these things exist and people think that they're science fiction. The science fiction movies and books and things like that we're all familiar with and that they keep coming out with, a lot of the themes and narratives that are in these things are old. They're not new. Like, for instance, to just way off topic, but Dune is super futuristic. That's fucking old. That's an old ass book. That's an old ass book series. Frank Herbert is old as fuck. That dude's probably fucking dead. No disrespect. No disrespect, Frank, if you're alive. My bad, bro. This shit is disturbing, man. You know I say that a lot. I say it's creepy, it's disturbing. It's because it is. I can't think of other words because that's what the fuck it is. Many of us feel strange in this place. Many of increasingly too. As moments progress, as we shift from one numerical solar, descriptor to another, 23 to 24, um, it just keeps feeling more and more weird. And it's not just these physical things and technologies that are adding to that. It's the shit that they're saying to us and the shit that they're prepping us for, and the stage things that prep us for the next stage thing. Like, I'm just trying to get people to see what I see, and it would be great if more of us were doing this type of work so that we could maybe come to some sort of resolution or solution or defense. Maybe that's not possible, but I'm not finna sit up here and just wait and let this shit go like this. Um, I don't know. I don't really think I have too much more than that. I'm not trying to make it too wordy. If you feel like this has been beneficial and you have the means, please donate to the channel. PayPal's in the description. Um, if you have anything you want to add or ask, or if you want to participate, be in a video or not be in a video and just do an interview, whether it's anonymous or non anonymous, the email is gammaauobsidian@gmail.com. It's also in the description of the video and the channel. Thanks, dog. Later. Bye.